Good morning and happy Easter. I've seen a lot of kids wandering about. I'm glad that, whether it rains or not, there will be an Easter egg hunt somewhere, so not to fear. I'm Amanda Pyburn, a member of this fellowship and your service leader this morning. We are a religious community with the emphasis on community. Committed to service, spiritual growth, and caring fellowship, we come here each week to listen, to learn, and often to be changed by the experience of interacting with others. If you're visiting, we're so glad you found us. You can learn more about us on our webpage or by reading our shared values on the back of your order of service. Please fill out a visitor card on the table by the front door, and we can send you our weekly emailed newsletter. We look forward to talking with you after the service. There are announcements listed in your order of service. I've not been told of any other announcements, so isn't that unusual? All right. They are here, so take a look. There's also a description of next week's service, which sounds really interesting, so we hope you'll make it. After the service, everyone is welcome to stay for coffee, refreshments, and conversation, followed by our second hour small groups. Pagan Pathways in the library, choir practice in the music room, and if you want to discuss today's sermon, there will be a speaker circle up front. And now the prelude prepares us for the service. Nadia, if you'll come up to light our chalice. For holy days on which we recall the old stories, we light this flame. For Passover, which reminds us of the courage and strength of those seeking freedom in the past, we light this flame. For Easter, which reminds us that love is our greatest challenge, we light this flame. For gathering today in this sacred space, for the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past, to plan for our future, to be alive in our present, we light this flame together. Our opening words are by our minister, Reverend Kathy Hurt.
Passover, happy springtime. Good morning. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy springtime. I hope this is indeed a day where either in one of those traditions, in the season, or just because it's a good day, that you can find cause for celebration. I'm happy to be with you today. The opening words are by Peggy Clark. Easter is a holiday of miracles. It is life from death, joy from sorrow, celebration from mourning. Easter reminds us that all is never lost, that the story continues as long as we are here to tell it. On Easter morning, love brings us back to life, calls us from sadness, from grief, from anxiety, into a world renewed and alive and filled with joy. Easter calls us back once again.
Please stand as you're able for our first hymn, number 269 in the gray hymnal. Lo, the day of days is here. Will the children come up for the time for all ages? We should have a crowd. You're welcome to sit on the floor. We're actually going to be getting up in just a minute. Yep. Because we've got a good crowd for Easter. So, you know, after the service, it's egg hunt time. And you are going to have a basket, whether inside or out, to go collecting your eggs, right? So, I want you to imagine for a moment that your lives are like the basket you'll be using after the service. I'm going to set that down now. As you picture it, pause for a moment to accept a blessing. May the things you collect in that basket, like painted eggs and colorful Easter grass, bring you an appreciation of beauty. May the things you collect in your basket, like chocolates and jelly beans, bring your life sweetness. May your basket always be full enough you're able to share your bounty with those whose baskets don't contain as much. May your basket be large enough to accept the occasional disappointment of an empty egg, or perhaps a sticker when you really wanted a Hershey's Kiss, or something that you did like, right? May your life, like the egg before it is opened, or the ribbon before it is untied, offer new surprises that bring joy. And finally, may your life, like the reeds of a basket, be interwoven with others, part of a community that celebrates all that is good. In the spirit of little things that offer us cherished meanings, may our lives indeed be blessed. And now, you are going to get one of those eggs. I need you to open it here's the hard part. Kind of set the chocolate aside. Because there's also a slip of paper in there, and that's what you need. It has a number on it. If yours has a number 1, I need you to come over here. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Okay? So you're going to sort yourselves out in order and bring your paper with you because you have something to read. Okay? Here we go. You can open it. Find your slip and start sorting yourselves out. Okay, find your number. So we need the number 1s. There must be some. Number 2s, come on up. Get yourselves in order. What's your number? Oh, come on up. Okay, find the people like you. Find the people like you. Where are the ones? We got some ones? 2? 3? 4? Got any 5s? 5s. Any 6s? Good. What are you? Number 4. Where are the 4s? All right, go stand by him. So this is actually, and would you like to come up? You can come stand with the number 6s. He's a number 6. So this is actually a responsive reading. If you'll go to the next slide, the number 1s are going to read their part, and then you are going to respond with the response on the screen. And then the number 2s read their part, and we respond. Number 3s read their part, and we respond, etc. Got it? So, number 1s, I'm going to give you the mic. Are you the only number 1?
Yeah.
All right. Can you read yours?
Both number ones.
Well, there you go. You need to share the mic. Go ahead and read yours.
Quick look around you. The cold of winter has gone, and the earth has awoken once more.
Within us and around us, new life is blossoming. The promise of spring has come. Pass the mic to number 2.
We celebrate the return of color and rebirth of wonder.
Within us and around us, new life is blossoming. The promise of spring has come.
The sleeping seeds awaken, the sap rises, everything is renewed.
Within us and around us, new life is blossoming. The promise of spring has come.
Birth and rebirth, new life from seeming death, the promise of old coming true once again.
Within us and around us, new life is blossoming. The promise of spring has come.
We celebrate the promise of summer's bounty and how it filled our soul.
Within us and around us, new life is blossoming. The promise of spring has come.
Like winter and summer, we celebrate the human cycle of sorrow and joy and the companionship of this community.
Within us and around us, new life is blossoming. The promise of spring has come. Thank you, guys. You can, don't forget to take your egg with you and your, isn't it number 6 yet? Wasn't that number 6? Yes. Oh, I think we got it. Right, we got it. Thank you.
Want me to turn off the mic?
The sharing of joys, milestones, and concerns is a tradition in our fellowship. You're welcome to come up Drop a glass pebble into the bowl of water silently or while speaking a few words into the microphone. This practice shares our joys and helps us support each other in sorrows. Remember to tell about others only with their permission. And I'll get this mic. We leave time each week for some quiet meditation or prayer. We'll begin with our minister.
Please join now in a spirit of reflection, meditation, and prayer. Spirit of all seasons, we find life complicated and uncertain and gorgeous with some things we can count on. We know life has seasons of struggle and seasons of delight, and sometimes the two come and bloom simultaneously, like now, maybe always. And we come together, breathing together, holding each other through it all, laughing and singing in the face of it. If there is a journey to liberation, like Passover claims, if there is a way to live resurrection, like Easter invites, perhaps it is like this. May what holds us in bondage to death or loss or hurt or sadness or heartbreaking, may that be released. May we sink our roots down into what grounds us, reach toward the sun, and flower into this season, all of whose traditions witness to life more abundant claiming us, life coming after a season of loss and winter struggles, life coming again. May it be so. Amen.
After our song of dedication, the greeters will take up the offering. If you're visiting, feel free to pass the plate along. We consider you our guest today. If you're paying your pledge with a check, make a note in the memo line. Any cash offerings and unmarked checks will be equally shared with a local charity. It is April, and we have a new Share the Plate partner, UUA, Unitarian Universalist Association, Side with Love campaign. Their goal is to amplify the voices of the oppressed by showing up in partnership at justice events across the country, lobbying national leaders on immigration reform, racial justice, equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, religious freedom, and more. Please be generous. Kathy Hurt with her perspective, The Only Thing That Happens.
The first Easter egg hunt I can remember participating in as a child was not my finest moment. Our kindergarten class had been instructed to come to school with 6 dyed eggs, which would be hidden in the park next door to our school by mother volunteers, since mothers had mostly not joined the workforce at that time. While I had practiced hiding and finding eggs with my siblings before then, this promised to be an egg hunt on a whole other level, with many more hiding places and many more eggs to find. But the best part was that there would be a prize egg, an egg which had been wrapped in aluminum foil so that it was silver and shiny, and whoever found that egg would be awarded an enormous basket filled with all sorts of Easter treats. Now, I seem to have been born with an overly developed competitive streak, so that I can turn almost anything into a competition. My congregations have noted this over time, how I take an unholy pleasure whenever my church does something better than any of the neighboring churches, whenever my church posts larger attendance numbers, whenever my church raises more money in an auction. Family and friends have to frequently tell me to back off, drop it, let it go, if I start to make an ordinary activity into a race of some kind. This competitive streak caught fire in me when I heard about the prize egg. Nothing would stop me from finding it and winning that basket. The time came for the egg hunt, and my fellow students and I raced into the park to get to work. At first, I snatched up every egg I saw. Then I remembered my real purpose. The point was not to find eggs. The point was to find that prize egg. After a bit of hunting, my best friend came over and showed me her basket. Tucked down in the fake grass was that prize egg. My competitive streak took hold then. My memory has a saving gap in it, but I can recall that somehow I next had the egg and ran over to the teacher to show her. Everyone clapped. I was given the basket of treats and we went back inside. But en route to the classroom, my mother pulled me aside. It seems she had witnessed what had happened and wanted to know how that prize egg went from my friend's basket into mine. I confess that I had promised my friend some allowance money in exchange for the egg. My mother marched me over to the teacher, had me explain what I had done, and the prize basket went from my possession into my friend's hands. She seemed a bit bewildered, but happy. Not a promising beginning for someone who would set out to be a minister one day, is it? That someone who swindled her best friend out of a prize egg should end up in a profession where ethical behavior is central. That may be a bit of a miracle. I could just as easily have ended up being a con artist. We have entered the annual time of miracles, this moment in the year when we are invited to recall and rejoice in the miracles central to 2 of the world's religions, Judaism and Christianity. The freeing of the Hebrew people from slavery in Egypt is marked in Passover and accomplished through a series of miraculous events. The resurrection of Jesus from death, a triumphant miracle, is marked in Christianity. And as if to add to the occasion, nature begins now to add its own recurrent miracle of spring just to get us in the right mood. And what exactly constitutes a miracle? Does something actually happen? Or is the miracle in the eyes of the beholder and how they interpret the event? Unitarian Universalist congregations generally do not talk much about miracles except to use the word in a poetic sense. Perhaps that is in part due to our uncertainty about a deity, and a deity tends to be a key element in miracles, or our preference for understanding ourselves as masters of our fate, capable of arranging and anticipating what comes our way, would mean that a miracle reflects some kind of loss of control. And we historically have loved rationality, and miracles do not align readily, if at all, with a rational mindset. Once upon a time, life was seen as filled with miracles, and not just in the poetic sense of the word. All about wherever the eye fell, strange and wonderful and terrifying events were occurring. In our time, the miracle is the rare, seldom, if ever, seen event. Even those who follow a spiritual path where miracles are regarded as actual events rather than poetic descriptions of events will tell you that we've fallen away, that miracles do not come for us, that miracles which churches now celebrate are all miracles of the past. When we do speak of miracles now, we intend to mean only things that are remarkable or surprising, but not inexplicable, not supernatural, not contrary to the laws of nature and science. But this is Easter, and Passover is underway, and we have struggled for so long under burdens of grief and conflict and injustice that seems never to change. So maybe just for one morning, we might consider whether miracles and a rational scientific worldview could actually coexist. The way that happens, as the traditional story of this day seems to say, is when we take the stance of someone who truly sees. The garden is the only place there is, but you will not find it until you have looked for it everywhere and found nowhere that is not a desert. The miracle is the only thing that happens, but to you it will not be apparent until all events have been studied and nothing happens that you cannot explain. And life is the destiny you are bound to refuse until you have consented to die. These lines from W.H. Auden's poem For the Time Being describe the manner in which I, and perhaps many of you, move from one perspective, one way of being and doing and thinking, to another. I move only when I have to, only when the old way is exhausted and no other possibilities present themselves. Only then will I make a necessary change, and I usually do so with protest. Many of us learn and grow the hard way. So Auden observes that certain wonderful experiences, a refreshing garden, a rich life, a miracle, happen to us only when we welcome them, and we become welcoming, receptive to such experiences only when our familiar ways are exhausted. The miracle is the only thing that happens, but to you it will not be apparent until you have studied everything and nothing happens that you cannot explain. That's a twist on the usual argument, which says that miracles are little more than echoes of a wishful and not particularly well-grounded mindset, or the product of a limited worldview wherein most happenings did seem mysterious and inexplicable. And with the advent of the scientific method and psychological insight came the demise of miracles. Auden is claiming just the opposite, that miracles become possible only in an explicable, accounted for, factually ordered world. Until all events have been studied and nothing happens that you cannot explain, until the rational approach to self and world has been operative long enough to exhaust its possibilities, no miracles will appear. That means miracles are a post-scientific, not a pre-scientific event. What would it have been like that morning when a group of persons from the margins, peasants, fishermen, found themselves face to face with the biggest miracle of all, the miracle of life's victory over death, at a moment in their lives when all had been studied and everything explained? A crucifixion had occurred. A man died and was buried, along with him great hopes, and that was that. The various biblical accounts of this moment align with their descriptions of what Mary Magdalene and other assorted women, mourners, and disciples found when they went to the tomb. They saw grave clothes lying like the shriveled, cracked shell of a cocoon left behind when a butterfly has emerged. That's what they saw, and then they believed that a miracle had occurred. The Greek used at this point in the original version of the story for see is not see as observe and note, but seeing as an inner perception, as understanding, as a witness who sees all dimensions of an event. Having exhausted their usual worldview, it died with Jesus on the cross, these tired, dispirited people now saw with a whole new kind of seeing, a miracle in the mute grave clothes that pointed to a triumph of life over death. The miracle is the only thing that happens, but to you it will not be apparent until all events have been studied and nothing happens that you cannot explain. Just how do we explain the events of the story told us about that particular morning? If you were standing there, what would you conclude? Some political maneuver? A terrible joke? A miracle? What is it you see? What those first individuals saw changed their lives dramatically and forever, transforming them from depressed, quarrelsome, limited people to leaders who were so emboldened by their vision that no amount of persecution or fear could stop them. What would you need to see? Not literally see, but with the kind of seeing this story invites, deep seeing, deep understanding. What would you need to see for your own experience to be utterly changed so that whatever you believe you cannot do, whatever you are afraid to try, whatever you cannot say, whoever you cannot love, what would you need to see for all that to be possible? You've studied and explained everything. What more is needed? What do you now need to see. I try to stay on the lookout for miracles far and near, though I frequently forget to look in the course of a day. I'm hoping to see a miracle in the course of global events that would turn us from war to peace. I'm hoping to see a miracle in our surrounding community that would turn us from oppressive systems to systems that foster compassion and equity. I'm hoping for a miracle in my own heart, that I would worry less, love more, take risks. If Auden is to be believed, however, the miracle I'm watching for is always already present. The miracle is the only thing that happens. What is missing is my capacity for seeing it. Until all events have been studied and nothing happens that we cannot explain, there will be no seeing for us beyond the literal facts, which in this traditional story disclose only evidences of grave robbers, an elaborate hoax, wishful thinking by traumatized people. We will be surrounded in our justice efforts by forces that work for injustice and by individuals and groups who do not much care or are always self-seeking. Because study all the events right now, explain all the events right now, and that is what remains. The inevitable conclusion, events without seeing, only casual observers, events that go unseen. But if you have studied and explained and cataloged and ordered and analyzed for a long time, too long, so that experiences begin to thwart attempts to make them fit. If you are at this point, you just may glimpse, briefly but emphatically, the remarkable, unexpected miracle of undying life that is the heart of all transformative moments, making us who can truly see people who change the world. And if we do find that ever-apparent miracle this day, no need for alarm. Rationality will not immediately and forever fly out the window. It stays while we take our silver egg of a miracle and place it in a basket in our hearts, to be recalled and admired on occasion, to be hidden and hunted and found again whenever study and explanation grow weary and our eyes long to see so much more than we're seeing at present. The miracle is the only thing that happens. May we see miracles. May we know the joy of miracles this Easter time and always. May it be so. Amen.
Our next hymn is O Day of Light and Gladness, number 270, or it will be on the screen. This may sound familiar to you. My closing words, they're just exactly what Kathy chose for her opening words. It's that good today. So, Easter is a holiday of miracles. It is life from death, joy from sorrow, celebration from mourning. Easter reminds us that all is never lost, that the story continues as long as we are here to tell it. So gather up your worries. We are going to bury them beneath the ground and watch them transform into flowers of hope, pushing through the earth, reminding us on Easter morning that love brings us back to life, calls us from sadness, from grief, from anxiety, into a world renewed and alive and filled with joy once again.
I enjoyed being with you this day. I hope as the day unfolds for you that maybe you have an egg hunt ahead, maybe you have a basket of candy waiting for you, or just that you have some good people to be with for the rest of the day. The closing words are by Alex Holt. For all those who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be another affirmation of love and promise. For all those who see the eternal story of new spring and life beginning, may you breathe deeply a season of promise and hope. For all who are caught in despair and hopelessness this Easter, may you find yet in the darkness a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us together can do what one isolated person cannot do. All of us together can roll the heavy stone aside. We are far more powerful than we could ever be alone. Shalom, salam, blessed be. Amen.
Please stay seated for the postlude and then join us in the back for refreshments and conversation. Thank you for coming.